Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 157 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we're going into part 2 of setting yourself up for success, a 30-day challenge in creating better marketing for your veterinary practice. Not only creating better marketing, but getting a better understanding of where your clients are coming from when it comes to advertising channels and things. This is going to be, I think, a very helpful series of podcast episodes so that you can get really clear about who your ideal clients are, how to target them, how to go about finding them on the internet, and how to drive them into your practice. Before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes or Google Play. And if you could do me a huge favor, please leave an honest review if you appreciate and enjoy the podcast. I would really appreciate that. I'd also like to invite you to join the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group. Be sure to head on over to facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. Or if you go to veterinarymarketingnerds.com, it forwards to that group as well. The other thing I'd like to mention is if you haven't done so already, be sure to get your hands on a copy of my Veterinary Marketing Planner. It's a digital marketing planner that goes for 12 months. You can start at any time of the year, and it's a great tool that helps you get clear on the tracking and the metrics, as well as planning your content and all kinds of good things. So if you need help with planning, if you feel like you want to get a better handle on your marketing plan, head on over to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/planner. All right, let's talk about this week. This is step 2 of 4. Last week we talked about baselines, we talked about tracking, reporting, and a customer avatar. So once we're built on that, the next steps that we're going to be talking about this week are the before and after grid. We're going to talk about offers, we're going to talk about funnels, and we're going to talk about content. Now I think that these are beneficial to kind of group together for a few reasons. First, you need to really understand, last week we set the baselines, we figured out who our ideal client was. So once we figure out who the ideal client is, knowing those customer avatars, what their demographics are, what their psychographics are, and how they are, you're going to be able to target them based on those items, that's very, very important. But once you know who that is, just saying, hey, I'm a veterinarian and I perform veterinary services at my practice, that doesn't really give a specific benefit to the clients. They may have something that they need, and they say, well, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together. I need this service. A veterinarian does this service, so I'm going to head in there. And, that's probably how a lot of people are coming into your practice right now. But really, I think what we need to do, especially when we're creating client avatars and we're doing ads to try to drive people into the practice, we need to really think about what does their before and their after look like, because we're trying to make yourself above a commodity. And when you want to, if you want it to be compared to, other practices in the area, you would probably just talk about what kind of services you offer. And that just makes you essentially, at the end of the day, a commodity, like I said. There's a few things that would make people want to come in, specifically if you had good reviews, if you have availability at a time that's convenient for them. But other than that, it really comes down to price if you think about it. So how do you stand out in terms of wanting to either charge premium prices or whatever prices you want to be charging? You need to figure out, how do we make ourselves stand out and really convey the value that we're offering? And the way that you do that is with what's called the before and after grid. So let's go down and say that you're a general practice and you are trying to target busy moms who have a pet, and on top of everything else they do, they need to get their pet taken care of, and they need preventative. They love their pet. Their pet's a tremendous part of the family, and you're going to be targeting groups of moms who are busy. So what does the before and after look like for them? Is there a product that you can create that especially speaks to them? So things like convenient drop-off, reduced wait times, guaranteed check-in times. And I understand that things happen, but if you want to make yourself different and if you want to stand out, you're going to have to offer some kind of a product or service that's going to speak to them. So what do they look like before? and what do they look like after. And you don't even have to offer specialized services, but you could specifically figure out, okay, so you have somebody who really cares for their pet. They love their pet. They're part of the family. So the before is that they have a pet. They know that they need to do these preventative care. They know that they need to do all of these other things that is important for responsible pet owners to do. And so once they come into your practice, not only do they feel a great peace of mind, they feel that their pet is well cared for. They feel that their pet is part of your practice family, that they really trust you. They rely on you. They feel tremendous sense of calm and reassured because they know that their pet's in the best hands possible, right? We're not even talking about special pricing or special services. We're talking about the emotional before and after. So how can you use that in your practice to really convey the value that you're providing for the pet owners? And when you figure out what the before and after looks like for your clients, as far as, before they come into your practice to after they come into your practice, and this includes grooming services, it includes dental services, it includes boarding, everything that you're doing, what does it really look like in terms of benefit to the pet owner? The pet owner is not coming to the veterinarian because they love the veterinarian. They're coming there for some end result. So what is that? Is it that they know that when their pet is boarded at your facility, they have heated floors, their pet's taken care of, they have supervised 24/7, they have 3 walks a day? What is it that makes you different, and how will they feel once they use your service? So ultimately, that's what a brand is. A brand is a promise that's going to be fulfilled by your target market. So how can you use that promise as the bridge to the before to the after? So this is important when you're thinking about in terms of offers. So what kind of offers do you want to be promoting online? And what does it look like when you promote offers? I think that a lot of veterinary practices have trouble promoting offers because they're not really sure how to promote them. And in fact, I've heard a lot of practices that the owner is like, hey, we don't want to be doing anything but content online because we don't want to look like we're selling things. But really, if you think about, telling stories of clients, if you think about creating promotions, you don't have to feel like a used car salesman to just bring people aware and make them aware of what it is that you're offering in your practice. So typically, when I'm working with practices, I like to have offers that are defined so that we can track the ads that we're running and we can drive traffic to these different offer pages and things. But it's important that you understand ultimately what the end goal is. So think about the services that you offer in your practice, and what are kind of the best ones that you can use, that people are interested in. So if you have boarding at your practice, boarding is great. If you do special dental work, that's great. If you have any specialty equipment, if you have any specialty skills or something that makes you different, I think that that's very, very important to figure out as an end goal, what we're going to be driving people to for bottom of funnel, things that are actually going to generate revenue for the practice. And typically, I like to have at least one offer per month that I can rotate through. Typically once every 4 months that we rotate through so that we're not just constantly showing up selling the same stuff. If you've ever had a family member that's trying to sell you something or trying to get you into a business opportunity and they keep showing up and they're selling the same thing over and over again, it gets annoying. And you're like, hey, listen, I get it. If I ever need that, I'll be sure to talk to you. Thanks. So making sure that you're rotating the offer, repackaging the offer, making it look new and interesting is very, very important. So typically the offer needs to be some kind of a product or service that you can easily convey the value. It's going to talk to your target market. It's going to help them to transform from the before grid to the after grid. And it's packaged in a way that makes sense easily and conveys hopefully as much value as possible. And I think that when you're creating offers for your practice, really you need to outline exactly what is included in the offer, and not only what is included in the offer, but what is the value of each one of those things. There's so many times when veterinary practices are giving away free things or they're doing services and there's so much more given that's just not understood. by the client, and they'd have no idea what goes into it. So don't expect people know what goes into your offer, and be sure to lay out the value of each one of those items when you are creating those items. But try to think about 4 offers that you can create in your veterinary practice that you can promote online. So whether it be boarding or puppy school or daycare, puppy daycare, or grooming special or free nail trim, whatever it is that you think would be interesting to test, create those offers and specifically lay out what is all the value points of that. What are all the benefits of that you're going to be selling? And emotional benefits are fantastic to convey value as well. Peace of mind, convenience, time savings. These things have huge value to people, and you shouldn't ever discount what the actual value of that is. So once we have that offer created, now we need to create a funnel. And as part of that funnel, we need to have a content strategy. So a funnel, you know what a funnel is. You use it. It takes a large amount of whatever it is that you're funneling, and it refines it down to a smaller point. And the same thing goes true with traffic. So if you take typically a large amount of traffic, you put them through a piece of content, then you put them through an evaluation, and then you put them to a conversion. It's typically start with a lot of people and you end up with just a few. And what your funnel does is it helps to really segment and identify the right kinds of customers. So we have to think about the end in mind. What is the offer that we want to create? And how do we get down to that offer? What is a relevant piece of information that you can give? Whether it's a guide or maybe a video or a training series or an email series or a newsletter. It could be a bunch of things, but typically at the top of the funnel, we have content, and content is so important because you need to be driving new people into your business. And the way to do that at scale to attract new people is through content. Content is the scalable piece. I know that a lot of people say, I don't have time to create content. But the truth is, if you don't create content, you're not going to be able to attract new clients and new customers. Because especially the way that Facebook and Instagram are going, if you don't create content, you're going to have much more difficult of a time trying to drive people in, especially if you're using Facebook and Instagram, into your practice. So the content needs to be based around the specific offer that you have. What's something that's relevant that you could do to drive people into an email series that would then drive people into an offer into the practice. So the reason why funnels are important is because they are a consistent, scalable way to drive people from being strangers to being customers. And so there are several steps in this process, but once you have it figured out, and once you have it set up, it's going to go a lot further in that it's a system now. You can use it as a system to drive people into your practice. So let's go through a few examples here. Let's say you're going to have a puppy wellness package that you're going to be selling, for example. And in this wellness package, you sell prepaid services for the first year. So what would be some interesting pieces of content? Maybe you could do pieces of content about, are you thinking about getting a new puppy? Here's what you should think about before. You could do content like that. Or you could do what kind of potty training works best with puppies to avoid mistakes. What kind of diet do puppies have? Right? These kind of content pieces are very relevant. It's going to segment people so that only puppy owners are going to be interested in it. And then once you have people that have viewed and engaged that, what's the next step that you could do in the funnel? Well, maybe driving them to a puppy potty training guide or 4 critical tips when you're considering getting a puppy. How do you keep your home from getting destroyed? Or what kind of food you should do. You could create very specific video series or pieces of content that people have to opt in to get. And once they're opted in, then with each piece of content, you're pushing them into, hey, by the way, we have this puppy program and it does X, Y, and Z, and it provides X, Y, and Z value, and you're going to be able to have everything that you need to know for your puppy. You're going to have all the proper vaccinations. You're going to have a proper everything set up so that your puppy is set up to live a happy, healthy life as long as possible, right? So that's what a funnel is, and the content is the piece that you're going to be using for that top of funnel awareness. So let's think about this really quick. So we talked about we need to figure out what the before and after is when it comes to clients using your products or your services. We need to think about what kind of offers are going to be things that your clients are going to actually want and actually come into the practice for. I think that you should have at least 4 offers that you're testing and rotating through your veterinary practice. Once we have those offers set up, we need to create funnels and figure out what the funnels look like. And then on top of the funnels, we need the content to be the top of funnel awareness content that's casting a net to get people to come into your practice. So next week, we're going to be talking about ads, running scheduled ads. We're going to be talking about managing and optimizing ads and things like that. But I can't stress how important it is to figure out, or at least plan out, what kind of content that you're going to be doing, what kind of schedule you should be doing. So let's talk really quick here about scheduling content. It is difficult to get content done just because you have so much going on. So think about content that you can create on the fly. So live videos are fantastic. Create content that doesn't take a tremendous amount of production time. So if you are thinking like, hey, I'm going to get a nice new camera and we're going to produce videos for the practice, that takes editing and it takes skills. And so a lot of times you'll get things, but it just never ends up getting done. So live videos are fantastic for that reason. You can shoot a live video. It's done on the fly. People don't expect it to be perfect. And if you're talking about something that you know really, really well, you don't have to do a ton of prep for it. So I like to create content. I suggest, especially if you're having trouble creating content, do stuff on the fly, do it live. Also, just take pictures of things going on in the practice and really get that engagement from people inside the practice. But if you could create content on a daily basis, I think that creating pictures, live videos, doing live streams, and just capturing things that are going on and that are important, I think that needs to be done on a daily basis. And then at least on a weekly basis, you need to have something that's intentional, that's going to segment and direct the traffic that you have coming in on, people watching your videos on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever it is that you're creating content. It needs to be intentionally done at least once a week so that you're constantly segmenting people, driving them to the offer that you're going to be testing and driving them into the funnel that you create. A funnel doesn't have to be difficult. You don't need to have all these sophisticated automation tools set up or automation rules set up. You can do, create content on Facebook that drives people to a website page or that drives them to a phone number to call or drives them to leave a comment and then you begin to message them. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to have a bunch of tools. You just have to be intentional about, number one, you need to create content regularly. And then number 2, you need to have a call to action that they can take action somehow. And the easiest way for you to do that is, whatever way you have set up, basically. Because I know that a lot of times practices, you don't necessarily have the ability to go create pages on your website or, specific forms and things. So whether it's a phone number, whether it's a send us a message and we'll get you the details or send us an email, whatever it is, make sure you're clear on what that call to action is. And again, I can't stress how important content is. Content is what keeps you relevant. It's what keeps people engaged. It's what gets you segmentation and helps you to identify the customers and the clients from the people that are just hanging out online. So make sure that you're creating content. I would love to know what kind of content you're creating. Be sure to chime in the group on Facebook, on the Veterinary Marketing Nerds group. And if you ever have any questions or comments or need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. So let's recap really quickly and let's talk about what we're going to go over next week. So first we need to set up baselines. We need to do tracking. We need to have reporting set up. And then we need to figure out who our client avatar is. What are their psychographics and demographics? Then once we have that figured out, we're going to talk about what's the before and the after. What is the value that we're giving? What is our brand promise that helps to drive people into the practice so that they want to do business with you? Once we have that figured out, we need to figure out offers that are related to the services that you're going to be promoting and running. And then we need to create a funnel that's going to drive people through typically your content that you're creating and generating awareness to evaluation to then conversion in your practice. So I hope that this was helpful. Next week, we're going to talk about ads, execution of the ads, scheduling the ads, and scheduling your promotions, along with management and optimization of the ads. So I think it's going to be very, very beneficial. Be sure to subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you ever need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will see you on next week's episode. Have a great day, everybody.